How are you? Happy Friday. Oh, I'm so happy to have you here today. Come on in. It's been a fun week around here, at least for me anyway. I hope you've enjoyed the ride a little bit. I hope you pushed yourself forward just a little bit. I hope you realized that, hey, that was a pretty good 9 minutes of my time to get on the Daily Boost and just pick up something. And magically, later in the day, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe the day after, it clicks. I hope that's happened for you. Today, we're going to shift your story. I had some broadcast training when I was a little younger, and a good amount of journalistic training. I was actually a news guy on the radio for a while, so I understand the basics of journalism, but I use it for personal growth as well. I'll talk about that today. It's a Daily Boost from MotivationToMove.com, the positive boost you need every single day. Life is going to get in the way. What are we going to do? You can make life whatever you want to make of it. You really can. I'm the kind of guy that tends to create things. I come up with an idea, and I just go make it happen. And people are like, how'd you do that? I said, I don't know. You pick up the phone, had a little bit of a dream. And as simple as it seems, it's funny how the smallest little idea can manifest itself into something very cool and very exciting. So as I speak to you right now, I'm in the Banner Elk, North Carolina area and taking a little vacation, spend 2 weeks up here in the mountains. I like coming to North Carolina in the summertime. And my wife said to me, when we talked about booking a cabin in North Carolina, she said, so should we just get a small one? I said, well, yeah, I kind of want it with a hot tub. And okay, well, I can get a small with a hot tub. I said, well, I kind of want an interconnection, and I kind of want a foosball table. And she, okay, stop. She said, you know, you're going to have to get a big cabin. I said, just get the biggest one you can find. I literally said that. Now, I didn't want the biggest. I didn't want to pay for it, but she ended up with a 4,000 square foot cabin. And I said, that's fine. Let's take it. She goes, what are we going to do with all that space? I said, well, just put the word out to all the kids and say, hey, we're going to the mountains. We paid for it. Come on up. And she goes, oh, they're all busy. They got careers. They don't have a time off, not enough PTO. They're not going to come. Well, for the entire 2 weeks we're up here, every single kid is coming. And unlike the last time I went to the mountains, and they all came with either a boyfriend or nobody or a girlfriend or nobody, this time they're coming with a spouse, and they're dragging around these little things. Well, they're really little, and they talk weird. Grandkids. Yeah, like 4 of them. Dream big, guys. Start small, but dream big. I don't know that I said who I was. I doubt I did. It's Scott Smith. Good to meet you. Thanks for stopping by. Before I get on with today's show, for you emotional critters in the audience, how do you want to feel? Ask that question today. Take the time. Pull away from your busy life. Pull away from all your responsibilities. Just you being you. When you just you being you. Just sit down and say, okay, I was going to write a fancy manifesto today in my journal, but instead I'm just going to answer the simple question. How do I want to feel? Because you know, God, the universe, Frank, Jill, really, they just want you to be your best and feel your best. That's all. And until you take the minute to ask yourself how you want to be, you don't know how you want to be. You're just guessing. So do that, okay? So let's talk about story. Shifting your story, changing your story. And I'm not talking about social media or influencers. That's made up story. I'm talking about your story. Although it could work in both sides. In fact, it works with everything. If you want to change your story of your life, of what you do, of how you're known, you can do it. It's simple to do. And these days, easier than ever. It's just deciding on what it is. In fact, if you work with me, not asking you to, just saying if you ever have a chance to, I'm very likely going to want to know what your story has been, what it is today, and what you might want it to be. Because I know we can create anything. If you're going to start a business, the very first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, what's the story we're telling here? What's the message? Who are we talking to? It's that important. So a long time ago, when I first came out of high school and decided to be a DJ, I went to baby DJ school. It was a broadcast school. I chose to go to broadcast school versus college because I figured I could learn more on the radio in 4 or 5 years than I would ever learn at college, and boy, was I right. But we spent time doing something I really hated doing, and that was learning the rules of journalism. Why learn the rules of journalism when I could be playing records on the radio, talking to girls in a t-shirt, eating a lot of pizza? I don't need to learn rules about journalism. I'm not a news guy. Forget that. But it turned out to be a pretty good thing because I actually was a news guy for a while. I actually learned how to do TV production in broadcast school. I actually owned a TV production company for many years. But I learned the rules of journalism. And we can fill books with that subject. In fact, it has been. But essentially it comes down to this. Who, what, when, where, why. With that information, you can pretty much tell any story you want to. You can also create any story you want to. In fact, I would go so far as to say that in today's version of journalism, it's not so much about using those words to tell a story as much as it is to create a story and or a narrative. Not going to say it's good or bad. Yeah, I will. It's bad when you do that. Be a journalist. Do it the right way. But for personal growth, for you creating what you want to do, you can use it either way. So if we're going to be completely honest about ourselves, and you should be honest, stop lying to yourself, because all of us lie to ourselves just a little bit. We could look at our current story and say, hey, who, what, when, where, why, and how, and all that, well, how I threw in there, but you can throw all that stuff in, but you can also apply it to whatever future you want. So as time went on in my life, I started to rearrange things a little bit. And you heard me talk about this just a few days ago, at least a tad. And as I began to go through my personal growth journey, figure out how I wasn't going to be a hot mess and get what I wanted in life and settle things down, because trust me, I was a hot mess when I started out. You didn't want to know me in my 20s. If you did, you were probably complaining to the radio station I worked at, how can you say that on the radio? Well, I pay them to a lot. But as time went on, and it does go on, and we get into our 30s and we start to grow up and we think about this, I started thinking about this. I said, well, wait a second. The who, it's all about the who. There's no doubt about that. The what, yeah, it's important. The when, the where, the why, it's all important. The how doesn't matter. We don't need to know about the how. Wait a second. I don't need to know about the how, Scott? That's all I focus on is how am I going to do this? How am I going to get it done? It doesn't matter. It'll take care of itself. I promise you. You'll figure it out. But you got to do a few things first. So I switched the words around. So remember, let's get the order again. Kind of hard to do on a podcast, but pay attention to me. Follow the bouncing disc jockey. Who, what, when, where, why. It works to tell a story. But in creation of a story, I started with the word what. If I don't know what I want to do, what I want to have, what I want my feeling in life to be like, if I don't know what I'm searching for, what I'm seeking, if I don't know what the problem is or what the solution is, if I don't even know what I'm trying to do, I don't even know what I'm trying to figure out. If I don't have any idea, I can't do anything. So I start with what. Now, the reason I do that is because I just noticed something over time. I noticed that when I started with a why, I got confused. And I always kind of knew what I wanted. I just didn't know the other stuff. So I took a bold stance and I said, okay, for journalism, the who is great, but for me, the what is better. I follow that with the why. Because once I know what I want, I usually go, oh, I get excited. I know why I want it. Amazing how that happens, isn't it? And then I decide when I want it. I can't decide when I want anything, can I? Sure you can. You can't decide when you're going to get it, but you can decide when you want it. It'll arrive when it gets here. But he's going to put it out there and say, well, I'll try to get it this year. It may take 2, but that's okay. Where? It's probably even less important than the other stuff. It's just why it's further down the list. But when it comes to where, it's like sometimes I can't do it where I live. I must be someplace else. If I'm working at a job and I've decided what I want in my job, I want a career. Sometimes I want a bump up. I want to get a promotion. You suddenly down the list will figure out, well, I can't do it here because they're not going to give me anything. So it has to be someplace else. It becomes important, doesn't it? And at the very end, we put the who. And normally it's because in personal growth, this is my personal opinion. I've just kind of been through this a lot and figured all this stuff out. It's just like, okay, if I know what I want, I know why I want it, I know when I want to get it, I know kind of where I need to be to do that. Usually because everybody else in the world already owns or controls, as Zig Ziglar said, everything that's out there. The who is who's going to help me get there. Somebody is going to open the door for me. Somebody's going to have what I need to make it happen. So now I start looking around. But if I go to the who and I say, hey, I got an idea. And they go, what's your idea? And I say, well, I haven't thought about that yet. I just thought about you first. You need to help me figure my stuff out. That's not going to work, is it? When I know the what, the why, the when, and the where, suddenly the who can help me get there. Did I just sound like Dr. Seuss? I kind of just sort of did, maybe. Oh, about that how thing. Occasionally I need to ask how to reach my goal. But most cases, once I get through the what, the why, the when, the where, who, I'm already so excited. I've already figured out everything else. My first steps are already going. The world, the sea is parting, allowing me to get what I want. And I know how to do it. That's just me. Not only me, it's how it works. So we have the weekend off. And I'll be around next week. I'll be around the 4th of July week. Recorded, I will not be here live, so you'll still have your shows, but Trust me, I just got them done early. How many do you do at a time, Scott? Somebody's going to ask. I did at a 10 at a time. I did 4 weeks worth of shows. Oh, my goodness. I'll see you on Facebook. I still will be over there a little bit anyway. Go to dailyboostpodcast.com/Facebook. And if you want to join me and get a commercial-free version of this show, if you're not already getting the premium membership and the Daily Nugget email and the Daily Click text message and the Daily Boost or the Boost coaching that I do for a very reasonable fee, just go to dailyboostpremium.com. If you already have, thank you. Why haven't you been showing up on our calls? Come see me. I want to meet you. Okay? All right, have a great weekend. I will see you Monday right here on the Daily Boost. So long.